Hello and welcome to another episode of the XrmToolCast. With me, your host, Daryl, always raising the bar, and Jonas, you just can't stay off that boat rap. How are we doing, Jonas?
Good, thank you. Although I am off the boat now, so it's a bit worse than it was a few days ago, but I'm good.
Yeah, but that's the second time you've been on it since since the mid part of summer here. So
It's been at least 3 trips, I think. So
3 trips. Okay.
yeah, but quite short trips, just like 3-4 days or so.
I did notice that my automatic posting on LinkedIn and Twitter was a week late. So
Yes, the automatic Jonas does the social media stuff. Posting
Yes.
was a bit late. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
due to the
what's-
vacation on boat.
yeah, what is that? Is that called the Turkish machine or something? What is that that service that like you send something to some webpage and then they have people that manually do it for you? I think it's. Do you know?
I don't know.
I think it's some Turkish. I think it's a Turkish machine or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. That's my my Jonas as a service automated service that, as far as I know, is fully automated, but obviously it is not. So, but I do appreciate it. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes. So today we have a guest with us that is created a power app for people to use, and that guest is Hardit Bhatia. Hardit, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. So your tool here is called the Power Apps Formula Reference. It kind of feels like it needs a guide or something else on the end, reference guide or reference, something else. Just because as the host, I get to make fun things sometimes. But no. So this is a fairly new tool, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How new are we talking?
About a week old or so.
About a week old. All
Yeah.
right. So if it was in human terms, it's still, it's barely opening its eyes.
Yes, and it actually took almost the same time as a human takes to be born. So yes, perfect analogy.
Ooh.
Oh,
It took
so you've
nine-
been putting
nine-
some
around-
time into
I'm,
this.
I'm just
Hold
kidding.
on. Is this the time for a human to be born, or the time for a human to be
Conceived?
to actually go from conception to being born? Because there's a big difference between the actual birthing process and then all the fun that happens before that.
Yep. I was just trying to add on to your analogy. Didn't take me 9 months. That would have
Oh.
been bad.
All right. So if it took you 9 months, I would have been really impressed because the platform changes so fast.
Right.
So fast that to have it up to date and keep adding everything would have been a whole lot of work. So yeah. So all right. So we know it's a new tool. Let's go back a step and say what is this tool? Why did you create it? What is it trying to solve? And why would people want to use it?
So when I got started, right, I used to refer Microsoft Docs a lot. They are awesome. They give you a lot of details, but for someone who's getting started, those details may not be good. You don't want to get started with too much information. So what I wanted to focus on is a very simple description of each formula, and then to add on to that, a working example where you get to input your data and then you see the output live, right? That's one thing the docs doesn't let you do that. And so instead of a user or a reader going to his own app and then trying to try the formula for the very first time, this gives them that first first touch with the formula before they start using it in their app.
I think that's great because I think when I start diving into new things, I don't know what to look for. I don't even know what I'm not knowing. So having something like this to be able to easily browse what's available in there would definitely help me at least.
Right, and I think one thing that I learned the most from it, and I think a lot of people will benefit from it, is the fact that there are about 170 odd formulas in Power Apps, which is kind of counterintuitive if you think it's a low-code platform. So I think that was one of the things that I learned while I was building the app, that there are a lot of resources at our disposal. For example, one day I was searching for a function that would create a random number, and I just searched by the word random Power Apps, and that's how I came to know about the rand function. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to add to the app is not everyone knows the name of the formula. So you should be able to search by certain keywords and get to the formula and then learn about it.
So you added
Ah.
sort of synonyms to all the functions as well.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I would have wanted that today because I was working on a flow and I wanted to get information about the flow run. And of course, I should use the function workflow. Well, it wasn't that intuitive, but luckily I have Twitter, so I just asked and got the answer. But having this, and I think especially like having the synonyms, and I know what I want to do. If I'm not an experienced coder, I might not know what it would be called in a sort of codish language, which these formulas are. So yeah, absolutely, having the synonyms there is great.
Yeah, that does help. And now, so it sounds like when you got started with this, you realized you bit off a little bit more than you thought you were going to, just by the sheer number of functions you're going to have to document. Then.
Correct, correct. In fact, when I started off and I looked at the list, my first reaction was, let's just focus on like 50, the top 50 ones that get used the most.
Hmm?
So I started off like that, and then when I was done with 50, then I thought, let's add 10 more, 10 more, and then soon I was at like 100 or 120, and then the end goal or the end point was so near, I just ended up going to the end to cover the entire list.
So when you say you started with the first 50 or the 50 most popular, most used formulas, uh, do you get any metrics on that for some case, or are you just going by sort of a hunch, which are probably used most?
So a hunch, a little bit of experience, and then I think the most important part or the most important factor was the questions that get asked on the Power Apps
Yeah,
forums.
of course.
Those always give you an idea,
Mm.
right? Which questions are used the most and which are the formulas that people run into issues. So I think a combination of all these factors gave me an idea of what that top 50 or top 20 functions should be.
Yeah, the usage on the forums is probably not which ones are used the most, is which ones need the most help with using the most,
Mm.
right?
Correct. I
Yeah.
would say it's a combination of both. Um,
Okay.
for example, filter or sort are used
Mm-hmm.
the most, and they sound very simple, but then it gets complicated when you try merging the two in one expression.
Yeah.
So those were, some of the driving factors in documenting the list of like top certain number of formulas.
So I'm guessing this tool also includes information about what's, I mean, the big hurdle. It should be delegable, all the functions you're using. Is that part of this as well? So you can easily find which can I use with the delegated data or not?
Not for the first
Hmm.
version because covering delegation requires considering multiple data
Yeah.
sources. And the entire idea, at least for this version, was to keep it simple for someone who's
Mhm.
starting off with Power Apps. But it's definitely something I want to consider for future versions of this app.
Okay. So okay. All right. And now I'm deciding I'm going to change the name because naming things are hard. So maybe you should just call it Kiss Power Apps Formula Reference.
That would
So.
be awesome. Yeah. If you have any suggestions, this one or any other suggestion, feel free to let me know. The reason I picked for Power Apps Formula Reference is that's the name of the Docs, Microsoft Docs article that talks about all the
Mm.
expressions.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm not very creative with names, and I just decided to copy Microsoft.
So just for clarity here, we're talking when you're talking about Power Apps formulas, we're still talking about what's available for Canvas apps. This has nothing to do with sort of the other pillar of Power Apps. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want to go back to what I mean, we understand now that you sort of took the best parts or made it better accessible from the documentation around the formulas. But what is it you have done actually? Is it? It sounds like it is an app. Is it a Power App, a Canvas app that you can use, or how is it just a doc site of your own?
So it's a
Hmm.
Canvas app that you can easily import. Couple of cool things about it. It has no data source, so you can simply import it and start using it. And then one of the other things is for functions like clear collect, as an example. Um, Initially, I thought I'll use my own data and just give an expression or give an example of the fact that if you have a table with these four values, you can create a collection using this expression. But here, you get to input your data. So for example, for clear collect, I have four text boxes where someone can either type in a text or a number, see the collection getting created, and then also have a gallery that displays that collection. So I think those are the couple of things that I think are pretty cool and were also challenges because some of the functions are pretty simple, right? If you have a sum
Mhm.
function, it's pretty easy. You ask for input, add it,
Yeah.
and spit it out. But something like a clear collect was fun to come up with, and that's one of the things that I think the app allows you to do is play around with the expression, see what happens, and in couple of places I also have a few expressions combined together. But then at the same time, one of the caveats or one of the limitations of this version, which I've listed, is it will not show you every possible combination of different
Mm.
expressions. So it's definitely not a level 2 or a level 3 reference, but those are the things that I've kept for future versions.
So I want to dive a bit deeper into the tech of the app that you created. So you mentioned you have no
Sure.
data source. I would think that, I mean, building something huge actually like this would require, okay, let's put all the information in a database somewhere and have the app be the interface just. But then since you don't have a data source connected, I am assuming you have all the information is within the app. So is that true? And also, do you have like one screen for each of the 150 different formulas, or how's that sort of built up?
So the basic information, which is the list of expressions, some short descriptions, the syntax, the keywords, is something I wrote in an Excel and then imported that Excel into the app, and then created all that data or collected all that data in a
Mhm.
collection. So that's how the building blocks, so to speak, is self-contained within the app.
So that
Um,
data is part of the MS app file that you're distributing. Yeah.
correct, correct. So that's where all the building blocks or the basic information for all the expression resides. And then um, the other feature, if you will, or the other way I am using, or the other way I'm collecting the information that a user is entering for any formula is basically a collection. So, which is why every time you open the app, or even every time you click on the function, on the same function, the data gets cleared and you can play around with an expression multiple times without having to close the app and then open it again to start a
Okay.
new session.
So you see people running this app as in the edit mode, not the player mode, correct? Or in the studio mode, not the player mode.
No, you can use it in the play mode. In fact, when I'm working on a Canvas app, I have this app open in one of the tabs, and I just go in and play around with it if I have a question about an expression. So you can use it in the play mode.
Yeah, but they can't play around with the formulas in the
They
play
can,
mode, correct?
they
They
can.
can.
Yes,
Okay. All right. So I need to look see what exactly is going on there. So you can so they can play around and just enter in their own stuff and it's kind of a scratch pad or a playground for them to go try some things out in.
pretty much. So for example, if something as simple as the sum expression,
Mm.
enter your data and then there's a button for each formula that says click here.
Ah.
And then that creates a temporary table or a local table, and then it gives you the output in a label. So every expression will have a button.
So you spend a lot of time going through and actually doing that then, like and actually like setting up the different pages. Then is all that driven by the Excel as well? So if they have this one requires two inputs, this one requires something else. Like is that all that formatting even like based on like metadata in the Excel, or is it like separate? Like yeah, is it all based that way? I guess.
That's simply based on what I thought would be the best way to illustrate an expression.
Mm-hmm.
So again, using the sum expression as an example, it would have been fine if I would have used just a couple of inputs. But then, just to give a little bit more information, I think what I've used or the reference or the goal that I had for each expression was to at least have three or so inputs so that you can play around with it. For example, the AND operator, right? The AND function. I have like four inputs and there are four static values as well. So it's something like this: five less than your input and eight greater than your input. And then similarly two more expressions. So you have a combination of static values and dynamic values. And
Okay.
then, depending on your input, the output of that AND expression would either end up being
It sounds
true or
like
false.
you've actually created these 150 different screens with all the different inputs and sort of execute buttons. So they are tailored for each function. Is that right?
So all the
Okay.
expressions are on one screen. So obviously a
Yeah.
lot of controls on one screen, which, I would not recommend to someone if they are creating a,
Yeah.
production app. But I just wanted to keep it simple, reuse as many
Yeah.
controls as I can. So yeah, it's the app has like three screens, and the second and the third screens are only to illustrate expressions like
Okay.
navigating to another
So
screen.
will the user also get
Ah,
sort of get code snippets from this tool? So this is the formula you should use for those values or for those, well, whatever you're trying out. Or is it just to sort of get a look and feel
Yes.
of it?
No, so every button that exists for every expression actually has the expression
All
written
right.
on the button. So it actually tells you that when you're clicking on this button, this is
Okay.
what's happening behind the scenes. So you don't need to go into the studio, edit the app to look at what the function is or what the expression is. Right when you are playing it, you can just look at the button and
Uh-huh.
understand what's happening.
mm. I like these tools being created in Canvas apps because then someone can go in studio mode and see what did you do? How did you set that up? If they have something that they have similar they'd like to do or some similar challenge they're trying to face, and they can just go and see how that's working. It's kind of a neat way to a really good way to be able to learn some
I get.
things and pick some things up. So now you mentioned that you originally had something that was going to go through and you start with like the top list of it,
Mhm.
but now it looks like it's all just alphabetical and search for what you want. Have you thought of maybe having a top used items or something like that for the ultra new person who doesn't know what to search for, or are you just going to keep it as the search and keyword functionality?
I think for now, it's probably just search a keyword and find. Hopefully, the keywords are good enough to help someone find the function that they would want to use.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that would be a good feature where there is like a top list where they won't have to go through a list of 170 expressions and easily find what I think are the most commonly used expressions. So that
Yep.
might be a cool idea for the next version.
Of course it is.
So
That's
are
why I
they
mentioned
currently
it.
just listed alphabetically, or can you group them by sort of math functions and the collection functions and so on?
So currently they're listed in alphabetical order, and you can click on an alphabet and look at the expressions that start with that alphabet. But yeah, there is
Mm.
no grouping as such for now. Um, but as an example, if there are multiple functions for collections, I have on the same set of controls couple of buttons that say if you want to do clear collect, you would click on this button and do a clear collect. But if at the same time you simply want to clear a collection, that button is also available on the same
Okay.
set of controls. So from a controls perspective, wherever possible, there is a grouping of similar expressions.
So is this kind of like in the actual docs themselves? Like you may search for count, and they may have a link for count A, and count if listed like on the left hand side. But when you click on it, they all go to the same page, where they kind of go through each one and give a differentiate between them. Because if you're searching for count, you probably don't know that there's a count A that you need to be concerned about, or maybe count if or count rows like that you need to be looking at. So is it? I guess it sounds like it follows that same sort of idea of these things. You found this, but you may be looking for this. Is that's basically what that is then?
Kind of. If you search for count, using the search
Mm-hmm.
functionality, you will see all the count functions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Wherever possible, they will have similar illustrations combined together. But even if that's not the case, there are keywords that kind of sort of tie the expressions. So if search by one, you will see the list of expressions that might be related.
Okay. And then do you have links to the actual docs for each function as well?
Yes, so
Yeah.
each illustration has a link to the doc at the bottom of the screen. So um, because the thing is, this is not supposed to replace the docs. It's only a building block that adds on to the doc. So if somebody needs more complicated illustrations or more information about the expressions, for example, delegation. So you can click on the link, go to the docs, and read about it. At least for now, until I
Mm-hmm.
add delegation into the app.
I could see this being a really nice use case for someone's tablet that they aren't using because they're creating something on the computer and being like having that open and just being able to search for whatever functions they want to search for while they're going through and actually creating the app and something that's different that's not going to take up another screen on a desktop or something like that. So yeah, I like it.
One of the things that I've planned for the next version is to make this responsive. So you could even, open it up on your phone and it'll still allow you to do the same thing. So it you can still use it on your phone, but then you have to use it in the landscape mode. So I want to make it responsive so that irrespective of the device you're on, irrespective of the orientation of the device, you should still have a great
Oh, I need to
user
ask you,
experience.
have you heard anything coming in the responsiveness area? I'm sorry, we're going a bit off topic here, but since you mentioned it, I've been given a session a couple of times on how to work with the formulas for responsive Canvas apps. And I'm still just waiting. Why can't they sort of catch up with the rest of the world when it comes to responsiveness? So do you know if anything's coming there?
So there
Yeah.
is something known as container controls, which is awesome, right? It allows you to group certain
Mm.
controls together within a container, makes your responsive expressions much simpler. And then if you think about it,
Yeah.
if you have say 100 controls on your screen, moving all of them on their own is definitely way more complicated than say you have divided them into four
Yeah, absolutely.
containers, and
And I that was a
it's
great
only
improvement when they introduced that. I said 1.5 year ago, but we're still. What I want is this dock top, dock bottom, or a line, top right, left, and so on. But I'm still waiting. That will make it easy to use. I mean, it's you still have to work with the formulas currently.
yes. Yes, so there are a couple of things coming out.
Oh.
I don't think they have been announced yet, so
Let's take that offline
probably
then.
shouldn't talk about those right.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm still
yes.
just waiting. What can take them so long to get this? It's in every old UI language I've tried so far, but still not in Canvas apps. Well, anyway, sorry, that was off topic.
I, no, I think given what I saw when I tested
Yeah,
it out,
okay,
I think it'll be worth
great,
the wait.
good to hear. So I'm thinking you're doing actually a great job for Microsoft on this, I would say, because this is making it all these formulas more accessible to people both starting up and working for a longer time with Canvas apps. Have you had any cooperation with the product teams at Microsoft regarding this, or getting tips or requests even from them?
Not yet,
Yeah,
but that is the hope
of
at
course.
some point of time in the future. Um, and to make it more accessible to anyone across the world, localization is
Yeah,
another feature that I want to add to the next version.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for the language of say the description, but if you are in a different region, you have slightly different
yeah,
expressions. A semicolon is replaced by a couple of semicolons, right? So those kind of things would
yeah.
actually make it way more useful
And
to
I
anyone in the
still
world
cannot
using it.
comprehend why they're including locale specific stuff in the actual formulas. I hated it in Excel in the early 90s, and I still hate it now. This thing where you have to use double quotes or single quotes and comma or semicolon just it doesn't make it easier for anyone with Swedish locale that I can use a comma instead of a semicolon or vice versa. It just confuses things. So, well,
Correct.
Let me play my stupid American card here. So, depending on your locale, like that actually changes
Yeah,
whether you should be
yeah.
using
And I
a
think
double
one of
quote or a single
the
quote or a
common
comma. Or,
examples is that
wow.
in US format, a dot means a decimal separator, and we have comma as decimal separator, which means, oh, we cannot use comma to separate arguments to a formula because it would think the comma means decimal separator instead. So in that case,
Ah.
well, we cannot use dot, of course, because that can mean so many other things. So then it's a semicolon instead for us. So things like that just makes it so stupid.
Yeah. I just think of like if like C sharp was like that, where because I've seen C sharp that was written for a French client or French speaking client that by Spanish speaking developers, and so I was still able to figure it out, and I didn't have to change anything, but some of the names were kind of interesting. I had to do Google search to say what is this? Oh, okay, but yeah, that'd be very difficult.
Yeah. I'm just glad that the Canvas team at Microsoft didn't adopt the localization feature Excel had. I think it still has. When you write if or some or any of those sort of keywords, the formula names in Excel, and you have a Swedish installation, you need to use the Swedish words for that. That is,
Hmm.
And I think that's what leads to a lot of
yeah,
confusion,
indeed.
even on the community forums, where if someone is asking a question, sometimes the first reply is, "Hey, you're using a
Yeah,
semicolon at the wrong place. Use a comma," and then
yeah,
they come back
exactly.
and
And
say,
the,
"No,
the
no, no,
first
that's how
responder
we
was
use it."
American, so I didn't know about that.
So
Yep.
correct.
Dang straight. Wow, that's it's funny how with having a lot of computer technology kind of developed and propagated in my native tongue, my native language, and my whatever. It's funny how
Yeah.
much pain I don't have to worry about. Like, I try to imagine what would happen if like the first actual computer programs were written in like Japanese or Chinese, some other completely different form of writing. Would I be writing my C sharp statements from right to left rather than left to right? That kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't have to worry about it because I've just grown up that way. But that's not the case for
You got it the
pretty much
easy way.
everyone else in the world.
I think
Always.
something that I still like about Power Apps, in spite of these variations, is the fact that on a broader scale, the syntax is pretty much the same for every expression, right? It's just, and when I say that, what I mean by that is if you, and I don't want to turn this into a Power Automate versus Power Apps discussion, but if you go to Power Automate, at least based on my experience, in some cases, you write the entity name completely different, in a completely different way than what you would write in a different place. So it's almost seems like in Power Automate, it's a combination of two or three different syntax, which isn't the case in Power Apps. So I think I would still kind of sort of agree or agree with the fact that Power Apps is still more consistent in its syntax than a couple of other platforms.
Oh, you should try the other type of power apps, model driven. That we have no issues like that. So yeah, in Canvas apps it's easier.
Monitoring,
But
yes.
I think also, I mean, Power Automate suffers from having at least three different versions of connectors for what we know as the CDS. So, and they have all had their own flavors of how to reference things. So I absolutely totally agree with you. It's confusing when you cannot know for sure or by heart which way to what format to use.
No, I've had issues with Canvas apps being too helpful. Like, I will like sometimes you can like option sets, I think, were the major pain, where I wrote it with like one capitalization, and for some reason when I compiled it changed capitalization, or maybe that was a logical name versus an actual like display name. But I've had it where
Yeah.
like I've had to fight with it and say no, this is the way I want it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it hasn't. So yeah, I know it's hard for the users to always be thinking about things in the guaranteed unique logical name sense of it. It looks a lot nicer if it's not logical name all the time, but I think as you get to use it more and more, you kind of wish it would all be uniform one way or the other. And because logical names are guaranteed to be unique, it would be nice if that was the way by default. But yeah.
So given this this conversation here, is your app constructed in a way so that you easily can add, okay, if you see this formula, you know people usually mistake a logical name for schema name or display name and sort of just easily add pro tip, remember to do this and that, or are you sort of more stuck with the descriptions that you have? Because I think adding that personal sort of, hey, here's a personal tip from Hardit.
Yeah, this is how I messed it up before. Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Not yet, but if you look at a couple of examples, and I always use sort by columns and sort as a perfect example, because if you're using sort by columns, the column name has to be, in double quotes, and in
Yeah.
case of sort, it's just the display name. So kind of sort of left it at the expression level for someone to infer, which may not be the best type of illustration. So not at this time, but hopefully in one of the future versions, I would include tips as well for each expression.
Yeah.
The, the,
That would be a cool feature for people to be able to submit ways that they've misunderstood the documents or misunderstood the app to say, I thought this said it this way and wasn't clear. Like that, I think that would be. There's lots of times when brand new people, brand new to something, make an assumption, and because it's not clearly defined, the assumption is perfectly reasonable to be valid. But after working with it a little bit, realize, oh yeah, okay, this is why this isn't valid. But because they're brand new, they have that insight to know that and know that it needs to be declared. That someone with hours and hours and hours experience with it doesn't have that sort of new eyes.
the,
So this is where you will have to add some sort of connector to your app so that you could pull in comments from the community. Oh, I tried this formula and the docs say this. I had problems with that. That
ye-
would be cool.
yes, and one of the questions I had when I posted this was, is there any way I can add new expressions to the app
Hmm.
when they are
Yes.
released? But probably not possible because of the additional information that each expression has. For
Mhm.
example, new text input controls or text input controls and labels and buttons, that's not going to get added automatically. But I think so. The maximum automation that I can do is get notified when a new expression is added so I can, go in and update the app.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that would be cool if it is possible. Creating controls dynamically would be unbelievable.
So currently, if you have installed this app and you're running it, and is there any way to get notified that you released a new version of it, or is it just keep track of your blog and download the new one? There's no connectivity in that sense.
Correct, correct.
Okay. So, and speaking of that, I noticed on your blog, 4 days after you released this tool, you released a blog on how to import an MSApp file. I'm
Yeah,
guessing you had people saying that, oh, I want to try the app and it doesn't work. So you finally got tired of everyone asking and wrote a blog post about it. Am I
I think
correct?
correct. Yeah, I think I should have done it along with the blog that included the app. But I think I was so relieved with completing the app that I
Yeah,
decided to rest for four days.
yeah, you want to
Uh,
get it out there.
yeah, then I had somebody from India give me a call on Teams
Mhm.
at like 1 a.m. and they were like, "Hey, I can't import the app." And I think the word import is misleading because it's not really importing an app. If you have to import an app, it's typically in a zip format, but MS app formats are slightly different. So it's almost like when you go to powerapps.com and go to file, all you have to do is select open, and then instead of selecting one from the cloud, you just have to pick one from your
All right.
computer or from your hard disk.
Okay.
So I think that part was not clear, which in hindsight I should have shared when I shared the app.
Okay.
Yeah.
So me, I'm entitled to asking stupid questions here, especially around Canvas apps. So is that the way you would then run it every time, or would you say open it from here and now sort of store it in my repository so it's always available on my tablet or wherever?
Once you open it and save it and publish it, it becomes like any other app in your instance.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Hardit, you're let's stop talking about the app. Let's talk a little bit about you now. So, so you are where are you based out of?
Houston, Texas, at least for now.
Houston, Texas. You got a really, really thick accent for Houston, Texas. Just kidding. No, it's like Andrew Patenko. He's always. I always love it when he gives a presentation.
Oh yeah.
He's got his Ukrainian accent, and he's just like, I come from South Carolina. You can hear my accent. It's like, it's always funny to me that
That's actually pretty close.
Yeah. Well, thanks. That's the there's a funny comic one that says that if you're a white male and you're in some area of a town that you shouldn't be in, you need to go with a thick like Russian or Ukrainian type of accent. Just be like, you think this is tough? You think this is dangerous? I tell you what is dangerous. And like when I was growing up, that's.
So I
That's kinda
think
funny.
George Dubinsky is really from New York or something. He's just doing that to sound scary.
Maybe,
Yeah.
probably not though. No.
We're off topic again.
Okay.
So you're from
So
Houston,
yes, we are.
Texas. You're
And how long
based
have you
in
been in
Houston.
Texas?
Yeah, at least for now. In the last 5 years, I think I've moved 5 cities. So
All right.
yeah, hopefully it won't happen again. But yeah, that's why I'm saying Houston for now at least.
For now, at least. All right. So, are you a fan of American football at all? Probably not, huh? I mean, you have the Houston Texans right there.
The day you become a fan of cricket, I'll become a fan of NFL.
Ha! Zing,
Actually,
zing. All right,
the
you win.
Texans is one of the 3 games I've seen in the US. So yeah, I know their stadium
In person, you mean?
in person.
In person. All right. Cool.
I follow tennis a lot, so maybe that is a slight similarity between, people here versus people who come from
Maybe.
Asian
I
countries.
still don't know the difference between games and matches in tennis, but anyway, we're still off the topic. And I believe you work for Hitachi then too.
That's correct, yes.
That's it. Cool. Awesome. So the whole MVP Hitachi family then you've become recently a part of, I guess.
Yeah, I think there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are around 11 MVPs. So Joel Lindstrom, right? I've been very fortunate to have been able to work with him for about a year now, slightly more than a year.
Okay.
And that's how I was inspired with, the Power Platform, with becoming an MVP, because I still remember the day. It was August 22nd, 2019, when I hosted my first app in a day with Joel. And he introduced himself first, of course, and he said, I'm a 12-time MVP. And that's when I joked that I don't think Joel should introduce himself ever before me, because yeah, it doesn't sound too cool after that. So, but yeah, that's how the entire journey started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're quite a recently awarded MVP, I guess.
Yes, May 1st this year.
Wow. Okay, very recently.
He's just a baby.
Yes, I started with the Power Platform in May last year, so it was a perfect anniversary gift.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. It's fast moving.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Daryl, but you're like 100% MVPs at your company.
I am. Well, yes and no. I guess legally my wife works at the company, so
Oh,
I'm
it's
only
only
half.
50 then.
Half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And we're
So
only
I
like
guess I'm
25
half
or
the.
so.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's that's similar to my case as well. So me and my wife have worked together since 2008. Um, and one of the questions I get asked is, how do you manage that?
Exactly. You're still married?
Yeah, I I think if this ends at some point of time, I don't think we'll have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we are both just used to this lifestyle now.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works.
Yep. So yeah, since 2015, we are both with Hitachi and in the same team in the same practice.
Oh,
Man, that's a lot of being together. Now today marks the first day where all my kids are at school and I am not, and we don't have them in the house. So it's been 11 years of having kids in the
and
house.
that's why we
So
could
this
have a
is
sort of calm podcast recording
yeah,
without any interruptions today.
yeah. I don't have to mute myself quite as much as what I usually have to
No,
do.
sure.
So let's hope that all continues going according to plan with all the state of COVID in the U.S. especially. So But Hardit, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for creating these tools that helps people that are newer to the platform, especially, and even those that I went from not touching. I went from being in Canvas apps for almost a year to like not being in it for 2 months, and I tried to come back in, and I had to relearn like everything. It was pretty bad. So I'm sure that I will probably pull it up the next time I have to get knee deep into doing some more Canvas app development. So thank you for that as a personal note. So yeah. So if people want to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you? Where do they go?
So you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. Hardit Bhatia, if you search by that name, I think you'll only find 2 people. Uh,
Okay.
One in US and another one who's a student in India. So I think it'll be easy to differentiate between the two.
I found you very quickly.
Yeah, I think I need to thank my grandparents for giving me that name. So finding me on Twitter can be a little difficult. I think I need to change my Twitter handle. Currently, it's the Power Addict, which
Okay.
again kind of sort of points to my creativity with names.
Uh-huh.
So not that good. And then, so yeah, hopefully I'll have a better Twitter handle at some point of time. But and then another thing that I would like to mention is in the app there is a way to click and then open your email client, and it populates that with my email address. Um, so I wanted to give an easy way for someone to give any feedback or requests for new features. So if you happen to have imported my app, my email address is right there as
Oh,
well.
what a teaser.
Oh. It's like a hidden
Yeah.
Easter egg. Do they have to push like up, down, left, right, BA, select, start in order to get it to open up?
No.
No, do you know what that's from? I'm sorry, that's from a Nintendo game back I used to play, the Konami code. But anyway, maybe that's me and my American
Yep.
bubble. So,
So yeah,
it's hard to tell jokes. It's hard to tell jokes. So,
So yeah, hopefully the plan is not just to come up with newer versions of this app, but come up with other apps that focus more on some of the other building blocks like the controls in Power Apps.
Oh,
What are the different properties that each control has? Because I think when I look around, I see a lot of awesome content, but not a lot of focus on the basics, the very, very basic information that you would need when you want to get started with Power Apps. So couple of other ideas. It's just a matter of time that I sit down and implement those. But yeah, hopefully that won't take 3 or 4 months like this one did, and I'll be able to come up with those pretty
yeah. I
quickly.
love that idea.
okay.
We'll look forward
All
to
right.
it.
So
Awesome.
we have looking up Hardit on LinkedIn, and we also have the Power Addict on Twitter. Now, you have to say you have to have a little more creative genius behind that, because I just use my name, DD Labar, as my initials, my name, and because someone already had Daryl Labar, I think, as Twitter. So yeah, I'm not very good when it comes up to naming either. So you actually went out and the Twitter handle, so dabs to you for that. So that's how we can get a hold of our guest. Jonas, how can our listeners get a hold of
Oh,
us?
in the same way as they get hold of you by the name. So LinkedIn, look for XrmToolCast, or Twitter at XrmToolCast, not harder than that. And or send us an email, cast@xrmtoolbox.com.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Hardit. And Jonas, it's good talking to
You
you
too.
too.
Thanks, guys, for the
All right.
opportunity. It was awesome talking to you.
Thanks.
Oh, it's great. All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
This has been the XrmToolCast with Jonas Rapp and Daryl Labar. If you have any questions for Jonas or I, or suggestions for future episodes, please send them to cast@xrmtoolbox.com or tweet to XrmToolCast.